Like Mannequin runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Dan and Amy, that theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Wirepoints.com's Ted Dabrowski. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Morning. New poll out finds that Pritzker's job approval rating is 50%.
Oh, my God.
45% disapprove. In a square off with a generic Republican candidate, he's up 49-41. Even more interesting than that, none of that surprising, shouldn't be. 61% of voters polled approved of the state's response to COVID-19, to 37% who disapproved. And only, and I say only, 51% of respondents believe Illinois is on the wrong track. Democrat socialists were winning going away when the wrong track number was more like 80%, still winning. 51%, 61% approving of the COVID response right now. Those are re-election numbers for J.B. Pritzker, Ted Dabrowski, are they not?
Well, they are, although a few of those are surprisingly not as good as you would expect them to be. You know, Pritzker's gotten his bailout. He's gotten, the upgrade in credit rating. He's controlled the press. He's controlled all the messaging, and so I would have expected some of these approval numbers to be higher. So, it's re-election for J.B. Pritzker. He's got hundreds of millions to spend, but in a sense, given everything that's gone on, I think he's still a target. It's just a question whether anybody could ever figure out how to target him.
Well, I mean, yesterday...
He's big enough.
Yeah.
He's big enough to target.
Well, he and Mayor Lightfoot were in D.C. yesterday, although I don't see any video of him being there. But $17 billion to welcome to Illinois on top of the $45 billion the state of Illinois already spending on infrastructure. And I saw the mayor of Aurora. He wants to get his hands on the money. Everybody wants a piece of this. What's going to happen to this $17 billion?
Well, first thing is, you would think that maybe we could scale back our $45 billion that we just passed, right? If we're going to get $17 billion from federal money. And more when we apply for other grants. This is an interesting thing about this whole infrastructure package as it relates to Illinois. And usually I wouldn't hold a governor or a state responsible for inflation, but you could argue that Illinois is very complicit and Governor Pritzker is very complicit because we're a big part of the bailout money that was raised over the past year. Part of the trillions. We got $180 billion so far in Illinois. And now we're going to get $17 billion more. So with all that money flowing into Illinois, we're part of, and we're there asking for it for sure, right? We were the first state to ask for a bailout when COVID hit. We're kind of complicit in that, pushing for all that spending at the federal level.
Wow. Right, and we seem to like this. The reaction, right, in the wake of the elections in Virginia and New Jersey, at both the state and local level. At the state level, here's an example. Here's a missive from State Senator Patrick Joyce, who's some, dopey roll call vote for Don Harmon in the south suburbs. He writes to his constituents, as employers regroup and look to hire during a worker shortage, we know how important it is for them to understand and embrace the critical pieces needed to be successful, including having a solid budget, addressing workers' rights, promoting equity, and more. Boy, nothing like being lectured to by a state legislator in Illinois about what you need to do to be successful in business. And in addition to that folly, for it having to do with promoting equity and other cultural Marxist agenda items. So that's what you get from state legislators. And yet you're seeing some sparks in some suburban communities with respect to their school boards. But more importantly, in reaction to Virginia and New Jersey, the school boards, the school administrators from what I see reviewing the suburban landscape, they are pressing down on that pedal.
You mean against people speaking up, or which way?
They are going full Loudoun County and then some.
Well, yeah, just to tie into Amy's question about this $17 billion. A lot of that money is going to go straight to equity. It's going to go straight to prevailing wages and a lot of government work, government programs, which are going to keep pushing up programs and costs and pensions. So it's, I think that's what you'd expect from it, and that just means more pain for the ordinary Illinoisan that has to pay for all those costs.
Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. Address what I'm saying about what we're hearing from legislators as well as school board members, that they're completely incorrigible, they're completely unrepentant, and they are leaning in. And here's the thing about Illinois that some people who think hope is a strategy, remarkably, continue to doggedly refuse to address. Illinois is a government-centric state. Oh, government, and the taxpayers are the ordinary taxpayer not in on the scam. They're left out in the cold. Yeah, that's true. And so that's the model that works for the established power structure, and there's no indication that it's going to stop working. No,
and I agree. We are the extreme. And I think this would be the message to the rest of America if they were listening, and some of them are. Illinois is what they, and I say the big they, would love to see happen in America, where everything is government-centric and the government decides everything. The government says this. And that's why Biden loves what Pritzker's done in Illinois. He loves all this, environmental stuff and then the COVID controls. We are the model. And I think wrongly, and eventually we'll be right, but wrongly, these teachers, these school districts, they're doubling down on it. They think they've got the power. They're going to prove the ordinary Illinoisan wrong. And they're going to keep going at it. And I've got a few examples of something that's coming right out of New Trier. The examples continue day in and day out. They're not backing down. You're right, and it's going to take a few more mama bears in Illinois to push that back.
Well, back to this infrastructure bill. They said they're going to use some of the money to redo the Eisenhower, blah blah blah, electric vehicle charging stations, but also broadband expansion. And when Pritzker said this yesterday, a lot of moms, our hearts skipped a beat.
Helps us develop small businesses throughout the state, and very importantly, helps kids, young adults who are in school learn even remotely.
Remote learning. And then you're hearing today that 61% of Illinoisans are pleased with Pritzker's COVID response. I mean, do you think, because we are going to have a surge in the wintertime, do you think that that's going to happen, where we're going to go back to, what do they call it, a pause in learning? Which is really
well. I sure hope not. I did read some of the stuff Pritzker was saying about he's concerned. That means that once he says he's concerned and things are getting worse, that gives him the green light to keep the controls in place. And if things get worse, he's already worried at these levels. Never mind that 94% of 65 and over Illinoisans are vaccinated and all that. Never mind all that. Never mind that the deaths have stayed at 20 per day for a long time. He still is messaging and hinting that he's got control of this thing, and he's not letting go until, God knows until when.
Maybe never.
Yeah, well, it's he's got the power. Nobody's taken it away from him yet, and it goes back to Dan's point. Is anybody going to try to take power away from Pritzker? Is a legislature ever going to? Are Republicans ever going to? No signs of it at all yet.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Other than that, it's good news.
Yeah, I mean, but that's so fun. It's like we want to talk all the way around the fundamental issues here. Let's tinker on the margins. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that, and let's beat our little drums. And yet you just refuse to not you, but I mean we as a state just refuse to understand the reality of this electorate, understand the reality of a state that is, I think, the only one in the Midwest now that has more government jobs than manufacturing jobs.
Well, I think the big thing,
right?
but Dan, the big thing is the media is so complicit, and that's one of the big problems in Illinois, because
of course
there's enough bad news out there to flip this thing, but Pritzker's done such a good job of calling anybody a carnival barker or a grifter or whatever it is that nobody's challenging him yet, and. You see. Well, it's interesting. You've seen people challenge Biden at the national level. The left has challenged Biden, but the left here has not challenged Pritzker whatsoever.
No, because they're getting paid off. I mean, it's a shorter list to tell me who isn't complicit. The media is complicit. C-suite executives downtown are complicit. The Republican Party, in large measure, is complicit and continues to be, at least these individual legislators that are just trying to protect their own hides. Tell me who isn't complicit. Yeah, I know. The workaday schlubs who are still tethered to the state because of their job or their family or some combination of the two. And, and just sort of the blissfully ignorant. That's not enough to build a governing coalition.
No, and I think that's why it comes back to, how does this all play out? Is inflation going to be a big thing that wakes people up? And even if inflation does matter in Illinois, will it be tied to what Pritzker and Lightfoot have done? That's hard to make that link because, they're so removed from the national policies. But, you look at this, CRT stuff that continues to go on. At some point, maybe, but we're not, like I said.
We need to find our pop tax. We need to figure out a way to bait them into taxing something that is a third rail that we don't even recognize, like when Grady there at Cook County imposed her tax on soda pop.
Moms were out of their minds.
Yeah, great moms.
Yeah, that was amazing, right? We have all these issues that matter a lot more than a pop tax, but when the pop tax happened, wow, did that wake everybody up?
Yeah. We need to what can motivate idiotic suburban women to wake up? Gosh, that is a riddle. But that's what we need. We need to figure out how to upset man-hating shrews who watch The View. That's the path to salvation in Illinois. We need to figure out how to animate Amy's friends in Lakeview. I mean, I don't know. That's like solving for pi. I don't know what the answer is. But it seems to be the question. It seems actually to be the only question that anybody's interested in asking, including in the Republican Party. How do we, deal with unhinged leftist white women in the suburbs? Which is exactly the wrong question. But as long as we're going to continue to ask the wrong questions, we'll get the wrong answers and the wrong people asking the wrong questions and giving the wrong answers.
Yeah, you'd like to think it's going to be a whole bunch of things that come together, right? The Chicago crime, the education problems, the removal of tests in schools, to the CRT, to these lockdowns and all that. There's so much that's wrong in Illinois, and where freedom has just been, however you want to say it, taken away. You'd think that was enough, but no, I think we're going to have to wait for some exogenous event, something that we haven't figured out yet, that maybe is a trigger. It happened in Virginia. We'll just have to wait around for Illinois' version.
Wait around. All right. Ted Dabrowski, President, Wirepoints.com, all things Illinois policy related. At least you can educate yourself, even if it's difficult, at least from my perspective, to find too much to look forward to, too much hope there. It's very much what Andrew Sullivan said over the weekend when he was talking about America's trend lines. Andrew Sullivan talking about the toxicity of our politics, which is also sort of a platitudinous phrase. Just the divisions. He says, I don't necessarily. It's not so like hope for America, but it's a recognition, a humility of things I don't know. You never know what can happen, an exogenous event, like you say, a deus ex machina. But otherwise, it seems to me we are left waiting around for that, because in terms of what is being presented on the landscape right now, there is not a lot to grab onto. Well,
there's some organization going around, and I see it. And I see it, even in the suburbs. So we're meeting with new groups that are being created. Lake Forest Neighbors just got created, and they're starting to push back. And it takes a lot more than that, obviously. But let's see if people organize themselves. That's the key.
All right, Ted Dabrowski, Wirepoints.com. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services in Rolling Meadows. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills.